Hey everyone, welcome back to the workshop. Artisan Pirate here, and in today's fun video we're going to be doing a workshop upgrade by unboxing, assembling, and testing a brand new table saw from the Rikon company. Now you guys know for around the past year I've been on the hunt for a decent table saw. Around a year ago my older table saw that I had for years finally bit the bullet and finally just stopped working, and I had a family member who was kind enough to loan me one, and it's good for what I do. It's just hard with it being a basic table saw, you know, very bare bones, for me to dial in accuracy when ripping down stuff and cutting stuff to size. So up at the Klingspor's Woodworking Extravaganza, I talked to the Rikon people, and I met the president of Rikon, a man by the name of Joe. He's a very knowledgeable individual, and he showed me all the tools they had: the lathes, the bandsaws, the planers, the dust collection systems, and of course their table saws. And he asked me what I was in the need for, and I told him a table saw, and both him, Joe, and Coleman at Klingspor have hooked me up with the brand new 11-600S 10-inch portable table saw with stand, and I love the feature that it's got a stand on it like my old table saw that quit working, because I'm going to be able to fold the stand up and roll it out into the yard to help break down sheet goods. Of course, this workshop is 12 foot by 24 foot, and it's hard to maneuver a full 4 foot by 8 foot piece of stock in the workshop with the bandsaw, the CNC, you know, the other tools sitting on the workbenches and everything. So that's going to be amazing versatility for me to be able to take it out in the yard to break down longer stock. Some of the other features other than the actual stand itself is a powerful 2 horsepower variable speed motor. So keep that in mind. The motor is variable speed, and it goes from speeds of 2,000 to 4,200 RPMs per minute, you know, the blade. 28-inch maximum rip capacity to the right side of the blade. Arbor lock for safe and rapid blade changes. Of course, with this one it has a quick lock to where you're not fumbling with wrenches and where you can nick yourself on the blade while changing out the blades. That's a great feature to have. Adjustable rear work support, you know, for supporting bigger stock. 2.5-inch standard dust port, and I'm so happy to announce that one has a dust port on it, because the table saw that's on loan just has one of those drawstring bags under it, and the sawdust has just fell wherever it decides to fall. So it's not a very efficient dust collection system on the saw that I have been using. So I'm happy that I'm going to be able to hook up the shop vac to the new Rikon saw, and it's got an onboard fence and tool and accessory storage. So really neat. Here it is in the Rikon catalog. Again, it is a rock solid tool. I got to see it and preview it up at the Extravaganza, and the camera is currently sitting on the box. So without further ado, let me move the camera, get out my Swiss Army knife to open the box, and we'll get it unboxed, assembled, and get it tested. Let's go. And we'll begin by cutting the plastic and the tape here, and I'll grab a pair of pliers to remove the staples from the box here. And then we can proceed to taking everything out, and everything was packaged exceptionally well. Nothing could move around inside the box. And this smaller box here houses the stand and the wheels. And then we have the table saw itself packaged in styrofoam, and keep in mind that both pieces of that styrofoam has parts for the saw in it, so don't just discard those, keep those around. But we will unbox the stand here, and I'm using the old table saw as a work surface to assemble everything, but I will quickly get an understanding of the manual here and how to put everything together. And we can take the plastic off of the saw, and this is a beautiful tool here, and Rikon really went all out with it. But as you see, I'm taking the parts out of those pieces of styrofoam. As I mentioned, there was our miter gauge, and I love how the fence is housed on the table saw right out of the box, and it attaches to the 2 rails, and it moves freely and it locks in place. And now removing the push stick and also the support structure for ripping down larger material. And there's a few more screws in this part of the styrofoam as well. But we will lock the rip fence in place here on the 2 bars that slide. And it's just a simple thumb screw in case you want to take it off when transporting the saw to where it doesn't get damaged. And now we can assemble that support structure I was talking about, and it just goes together with some screws. And I always ultimately remove this from my table saws because I hardly ever rip down larger stock, but I'm showing you guys how it goes on. And it locks in place with 2 pins, and to install those you need to tip the table saw up carefully. And when I tipped the table saw up, I was so amazed by how compact the dust collection system was on this table saw, and you can tell Rikon went all out when designing this tool. And I was also so happy with how quickly the blade could be raised and lowered. That was really, really cool. And now we can begin to assemble the stand. Again, still working off of the old table saw, but everything goes together with a few screws and bolts. And this stand is rock solid. It's very sturdy, and it's got some weight to it to where nothing will move around while you're using your table saw. If you guys like what you're seeing, I would highly encourage you to subscribe to my channel and also follow me across all my social medias under the Artisan Pirate name. I truly appreciate the support. But now we can open the legs here for the first time and move the old table saw out of the workshop finally and attach the saw to the stand here. And it's just 4 bolts here and screws that lock everything in place. And I will show you doing the front side here. I done the back side bolts off camera. But after this, the table saw was pretty much fully assembled, and all that was left to do was connect it to power and hook up the hose for dust collection, and we were ready to give it a test run. And here we have the fully assembled Rikon 11-600S table saw, and I can tell that this is a rock solid machine. It is very sturdy. It does not wiggle around or anything, and it is a quality tool, and I know it's going to serve me for years to come. Now for this portion of the video, I have unplugged the table saw. We had plugged it up previously, and I just wanted to show you a few features that I really love about this table saw. And for today's video, I will not be adding the guard here. I will be using this, but I will not be adding it in this video, just so you guys can see everything more clearly. But it is included, and when it's not in use, it actually stores down here on the frame of the table saw. So everything is compact. Same with the push stick and the miter gauge, and the miter gauge slides really smoothly all the way up and down both sides of the track. One of the features that I really love about this table saw is the blade changing feature, and we will quickly take the faceplate off here and raise the blade to its maximum height. And one other thing I love about this is how quickly the blade raises and lowers, so you do not spend a lot of time cranking it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 turns, and it's all way up instead of cranking for 30 seconds. There is this little red pin here, and what you do is you rotate the blade. Again, the saw is unplugged, and it locks the blade in place. You see now it does not move. That way you can take just one wrench that's also included into the base of the saw to change out your blades. On other table saws and everything, you had to use 2 of these style of wrenches, and I always, every time I changed a blade out on my older table saws, I always nicked my fingers on the teeth just because of the way you had to tighten it and everything. And it can take a dado blade. You will just need to get a different faceplate for it. But what we will do is put the faceplate back on, and the blade is included. The blade was actually already loaded onto the saw. And lock that in place, and I will lower it down. Now I want to remove the push stick and the wrench here, and once again plug the table saw up so y'all can hear how this table saw starts up. And after we do that, we will move the camera and actually mill a few pieces of material, and I'll go back into the time-lapse portion so you guys do not have to hear the noise from the saw, but it is very quiet. It's quieter than any table saw I've ever used. It's plugged up now, and I will turn it on. really cool, and you can hear that variable speed motor. There is a dial down here to where you can speed it up or slow it down. Again, it goes from 2,000 all the way up to 4,200 RPMs per minute. So that's going to be great for another feature that this saw includes that I'll show you momentarily. And the rip fence here. You unlock it underneath and it slides freely, and you can even slide it by hand, so that's totally amazing, and it's nice and square. And right here they have this amazing little fence here. If you're ripping down thinner stock, keep in mind, being a scroll saw artist, I use a ton of 1/4 inch plywood and material, so I can easily bring it up to where that 1/4 inch material will slide right down and follow true, instead of it having to be, or me having to worry about it sliding up under the actual rip fence here. So this is a great feature to have on a table saw if you work with thinner materials or veneers or stuff. But I will select some material from my scrap bin and we will let it do its very first cuts. And I quickly selected some material from the scrap bin and turned on the shop vac, and we done our very first cuts on the table saw. We cut through 3/4 inch oak, 1 inch thick mahogany, and for a real test, 2 inch thick walnut. And the table saw cut through this like butter. And then I wanted to try the small rip vents here, so we done a piece of 1/4 inch material, and everything came out smooth. And that is my very first ever cuts over here on the brand new Rikon table saw. And we cut through 4 varieties of material here, and I want to keep my hands clear of the blade because the table saw is still plugged up. Of course, I just have it off. But the variable speed motor on this thing is amazing. I could tell, depending on the thickness and hardness of material that we cut out, that the blade was speeding up or slowing down so it would not have no burn marks. And we cut through 2 inch walnut, 1 inch thick mahogany, and 3/4 inch oak, and you can see it is nice and buttery smooth. I would hardly even have to touch that with sandpaper if this was the final flush cut for something. And it's nice and smooth with minimal chip out and no burn marks. So the blade seemingly adjusts its speed depending on what and how thick of material you are cutting out. And we even cut out a piece of the 1/4 inch plywood here. And one thing I noticed when I was bringing the rip fence down, I wanted to cut it like very narrow, that the rip fence stopped. But then upon closer inspection, I noticed an amazing feature. Only thing you do is take this thumb screw here and back it out, and you'll notice that there's other little screws here. We can pop the blade off and put it here for closer and micro cuts. And it's got another thumb screw here that will just go down, and it will probably 99% of the time live here in this position because I ripped down a bunch of keychain blanks that are 1 inch square. I have my little sample piece that I can quickly dial stuff in right here, because you guys know that I make the custom compound cut keychains over on the scroll saw, and this thing is dialed in at a perfect 90 degrees. So I'm moving the fence over here to where we can really get those minute and small cuts is amazing. It's great versatility, and a added bonus about the variable speed motor is, we'll move the fence back here, and I love how easily that slides with just one hand, and then the lock is under here. Is included in the box is a 10 inch disc sander, so that would also be amazing for the variable speed. So really neat. Only thing you'd have to do, you've seen how easy it was to do a blade change, was to pop it out and put on the disc sander here. And it even comes with some aggressive sandpaper here, so really cool. Top quality by Rikon. I really love it, and again, I know this saw is going to serve me for years to come. Let me move the camera one more time and we're going to wrap up this video. And that is my brand new Rikon 11-600S 10 inch portable table saw with stand by Rikon. Really cool. I had a lot of fun today, and I learned a lot about this new and amazing tool. This is an honest and genuine video. I'm not being paid behind the scenes to say good things about this tool. This tool is rock solid, and it's very sturdy. Again, there's very little vibration, and I love the variable speed of the motor to where it speeds up or slows down depending on the thickness of material and the hardness or softness of the material to reduce friction and burn marks. And that's also great for the included 10 inch disc sander that's with it. And I love that quick change on the the blade, you know, to where you just need one of the wrenches and that arbor lock is there. Really, really cool. Again, if you are very new to table saws and you've never used one, always read the owner's manual from start to finish for safety. I went through the manual here and it is a great detail of how everything is assembled. There's parts diagrams and parts list in case you ever need to order a replacement part, because the saw does come with a 5-year warranty. So always keep that in mind when you're shopping for tools, if it's got a warranty or anything. And in today's video, speaking of safety, I did not use the kickback guard, and the reason I did that was for a visual aspect of teaching on the video like I've done here today. When this is installed, it's hard to film and document the cut, and I hope you guys can understand that. But I love how this can also live on the stand with the tool. It doesn't have to be attached, although it should be for safety out in your workshop. Safety is the #1 thing. The dust collection on this is phenomenal, you know, for protecting your lungs. I had the air filtration unit on, and I had the shop vac attached. Again, with that older table saw I had on loan, that one was unable to be hooked to dust collection. It just had one of those bags with the drawstring on it. But I'm going to use the catalog here I picked up when I picked up the saw at Klingspor's Woodworking shop in Cary. Cary is the closest location to me, about an hour away. But here is the new catalog, and the table saw we just assembled and tested is this one here. Again, I love the portability of the stand. I can now take it outside to break down longer pieces of 2x4s or sheet goods when I pick up the 1/4-inch material. I now will no longer have to just wait around at the lumber yard, you know, for people to break it down for me, or take my little skill saw that's battery operated and do it there at the lumber yard. I can now do it in the backyard safely with this amazing tool. It's got a lot of amazing features. I love that little rip fence for ripping down thinner material like the 1/4-inch plywood I use. And the motor, again, I just want to speak for it, goes from 2,000 to 4,200 revs per minute. So it adjusts itself. It's like it's got a mind of its own, and that's so amazing, that technology, to me. And it just blows my mind that it can speed up or slow down depending on the hardness or softness of material, again, to reduce friction or burn marks. Once again, I want to give a major shout out and a huge thanks to Joe at Rikon Tools for trusting me with this to do this video. And I also want to give a massive thanks to Coleman at Klingspor's Woodworking Shop. You guys hooked me up with this amazing versatile tool, and again, it's rock solid, and I know it's going to serve me for years and years to come. This is a great early Christmas present, and you guys have no idea how much I appreciate it. And I'm already going through the Rikon catalog here and looking at more amazing and quality Rikon tools. I know my buddy has the lathe. That was the first real Rikon tool that I really took notice of when he was turning, the quality of it and the smoothness of it and everything. So I can tell that these tools are rock solid and built to last and to serve you out in your workshop for years and years to come. Really, really cool. I had a lot of fun in today's video, and I hope you guys like following me along on the unboxing, assembly, and first test of the new Rikon table saw. If you're new here, please subscribe to the channel and also follow me across all my social medias under the Artisan Pirate name. As always, links to contact me as to what is all my social medias will always be linked down in the description box below these videos, and I will also in this video leave links to Rikon social medias as well as Klingspor Woodworking Shop social medias down in the description box below, as well as my contacts. That's about all for this one, and remember guys, if I can make it or do it, so can you. I'm the Artisan Pirate. Take care, and I'll see you guys real soon.